thing. I'm trying to connect with one more device, maybe in the middle of the session. When that is ready, I will shift to that device. Okay.
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Just 1 second. Are you not able to hear me well? Hello?
Yeah, sir. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yes. What I was saying is, I'm trying to install Zoom on one more device of mine. Maybe in the middle of the session, I'll shift to that device. Okay. So I will let you know to allow me to share from that device when that comes. Okay. So for now, I'll start with this. Let me share my screen. Okay. Let me know. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yes, visible, sir.
Okay. Second. Okay, great. Okay, good morning to everyone. Before going ahead, let me quickly summarize what we did last time in last class, and we'll take it from there. Okay. So in last class, I stressed on the importance of what is data science and why one should consider a career in data science. So we discussed the growing opportunities, we discussed the growing needs, we discussed the job scenario, we discussed where does a data scientist come from, what are the fields that you need to know, and we also saw that it's a fairly uh, plain playing area. Okay? Anyone from any field can, as long as you have the will and the desire to learn.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, your voice is not getting clearly, sir.
Are you not able to hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's
Let me try to increase my mic volume. Hello? Is this fine?
yeah. It's now, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let me know if it is not fine. Okay, then I can probably try to change something and do again. Okay. So yeah, we discussed all those scenarios regarding the base of why one should think of a career in data science. Next, we also started to think or also started to talk about what are the skills required. So one of the skills required for data science is the ability to program. Okay, and the ability to program we discussed very heavily regarding Python. Okay, and Python being our base language by which we would use for programming for data science. Okay, so I discussed the pros and cons. I discussed the advantages of Python, and I showed that Python is fairly popular in the field of data science to be used. And with that in mind, in the last class, we started also into this new area called as operator and control structures. Okay, and within operator and control structures, I said this is what we will be doing as a course content: arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, user input and output, and finally control structures. So in the last class, we went till user input and outputs, and even within control structures, we did the if else loop. So let me quickly show you what I was doing last class. So we looked at arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, power, division, modulo. We looked at relational operators like less than sign, greater than sign, less than equal to sign, greater than equal to sign. The comparison operator, that is equal to sign, not equal to sign. Further, we looked at logical operators like the Boolean not, Boolean or, Boolean and we also saw how we can take inputs from the user and how we can print outputs. We discussed the input function, and the input function uh, has a quality where anything that you read will be in the form of a string. So depending on whether you want to use it in the form of a string or whether you want to convert it into an integer, you can use the int function or the str function, which allows us to change one data type to the other data type. And finally, we entered into conditional or control statements, under which we saw if statement if else statement and if else if statement. Okay. So if statement as this block explains is when you're writing a program, in this case, when you're writing a Python program and you reach across a condition, depending if the condition is true or if the condition is false, several things can happen. When the condition is true, you go below and you go into this conditional part of the code. You execute the conditional code, and then you go outside here to the remaining Python program. Whereas if the condition is false, you will skip this part and you'll go down. So the difference is that this conditional code does not get executed when the condition is false. And that is what we call control statements. We saw how to implement that within Python. So within Python, the syntax would mean if expression is expression. So this will be the Boolean logic or logical operator. Then we have a colon, and that shows that the if statement has started. And then the next line with a tab, we'll give all the statements that are part of the if loop. Okay, so we have all these statements that we want to execute. Further, we saw several examples of that. We saw this example where condition is true, what happens? We saw an example when condition is false, what happens? We saw an example when condition is false, but this statement is outside the if loop. So only this statement gets executed. The first statement does not get executed. And finally, we saw that we can do nested if loops. So nested if loops means within an if block, we write another if block. Okay. So in this case, we have the value of a as 4. If a is greater than 3, so the first condition is true. That is why we get it. We come to this print statement, which says that condition is true. And we come to the second part. It says if a is equal to 5, that is this condition is not true. So we don't print this part, which is second if statement. And then we print just the sample statement and we go out. Okay. We also saw that we can use conditions. We can write a condition, and when the condition is true, we can do something, and when the condition is false, we can do something else. 1 second.
There's a power come.
Okay, I'm just signing in from other device. So okay. So when the condition is true, we do something, and when the condition is false, we do something else. If the condition is true, we go into this part of the code, which says that if code gets executed, and if the condition is false, we go this part of the code, which says else code get executed. The corresponding Python program would look something like this. The corresponding Python program would look something like this. That is, we write if expression, and if the expression is true, we go to these statements. And else, if the statement is not true, we go to the other part of the statements. Okay. And we saw some examples where we can, that we can use for this part. That is, if condition is true and if condition is false, and accordingly going ahead. We also saw chained if-else loops. So chained if-else loops would mean that if condition is true, if this condition is true, if expression 1 is true, we'll do the statements of expression 1. Otherwise, if expression 1 is not true, and if expression 2 is true, we'll do the statements of the second block, depending on if expression 2 is true or false. So let's say if it is false, we'll go to the third part, and then the fourth part, and so on. Okay. Finally, we come here to the else loop, which basically says that if none of these conditions are true, then we can go to the final part, and that will get executed nonetheless. And we also saw certain examples here. So here we have the variable as 45, and we are checking for the first condition. That is, if variable is less than 200 and greater than 50. So this is another example where we are adding two conditions together. That is, we are checking for both these conditions, and we are combining these conditions using an AND block. So in this case, when we write 45, this condition is not true. The first one is true, the second one is not true. And because of the AND block, this entire condition fails. We go to the next part. And in this expression, we are saying if variable is less than 50, which is true in our case, that is 45 is less than 50. And hence we print value is less than 50. So this gets printed. And finally, we print out the other statement also, which is outside of the loop. Okay. And this is where we had finished last time. And for now, we will take it to the next step. We look at looping statements. Okay. Just 1 second, I'm connecting to my device. Where is okay. Okay, I hope you're able to see my screen again. Nisha, can you confirm that? Okay, great. Great, I've shifted to my iPad, so I'll have some more control over explaining things. Let me go ahead. Okay, so I was talking about looping statements. Yes. Great. And yes, so basically a looping statement works like this. This is our Python code. We write Python code line 1, line 2, line 3, so on. And you come across to a condition. And depending on if this condition is true or not, several things can happen. If this condition is true, we go to this part of the code which says if condition is true. We'll execute our conditional code, and then we'll come back and see if the condition is again true or not. So long as this condition is true, our program will be executing within this loops. Okay. There are several ways to implement loops within Python. One of the ways of doing that is using something called as a while loop. Okay. So what we write for a while loop, you can skip all the text here. You can focus on the expression. We can write while expression is true, we go inside the statements, and we will keep on executing the statements so long as this expression is true. Okay. Now, I know this is difficult to understand. Let us take an example which will make this idea more clear. Okay. So this is a very simple example. We are starting with a variable named count, and the value of that variable is 0. Okay. And we go inside and we write a while loop. The condition on the while loop is while the value of count is less than 9. Okay. So long as this condition is true, our loop will continue to execute. So we start with the value of count as 0, and we see the first condition. So count is less than 9. So we know that this is true, right? 0 is less than 9. The condition is true. So we enter into the next part of the code. The next part of the code says print the value. Okay, so we are going to this print statement which says the count is the value of count here. That is why we get our first statement here. The count is 0. Now, after this line, we run the next line, which increments the value of count. That is, we say new value of count is equal to old value of count plus 1. The old value of count was 0. So it says 0 plus 1 is a new value, which is 1. Okay. So we start with the new value 1. We go back here, we look at the condition. Now we look for the second condition, which says 1 is less than 9. So this is true as well. Since 1 less than 9 is true, you again go to the next print statement, which says the count is 1. Okay, we write the statement count is 1. And we come here again, we increment the value of count. So now we're adding 1 plus 1, which is 2. The value of count has increased. And even with this value of count 2, the condition is still true. Since the condition is true, we go down and we write the count is 2 and so on. You see, the loop keeps on running. We go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say we print the value of 8. When you print the value of 8, we now increment the count value. So the value of count, new count, becomes 8 plus 1, which is equal to 9. When this becomes equal to 9, you go back to this condition and you say, while 9 is less than 9. So we know that while is not less than 9, and there is some trouble here. Okay, since 9 is not less than 9, the loop fails, and when the loop fails, we come outside printing the other statement. Okay, which is what we get here. So the base idea of a while loop is, so long as this condition is true, we will be executing the conditional code. Okay, and we'll go back and we'll check the condition again. Now, if the condition fails, only then you will come outside the if loop, outside the while loop. Otherwise, you will keep going into that loop. Okay. One more thing I would like to point out. Is the three things that we want to execute that we will be using while using a loop. So I'll write it down here. They're called as initialization, condition, and incrementation. For any loop to work, these three are very important. Okay. Initialization is, in this case, our variable is count, which is our iterator that we'll be using. And we have initialized the variable as 0 here. So that is taking care of initialization. We are looking at condition. So this part is a condition, which is checking that count is less than 9. Okay, so that is the condition that we want to see if it is true or not always. Okay, and depending upon the condition, we will execute the loop or we will not execute the loop. And finally, we look at incrementation. So incrementation is incrementing the value of the iterator. Okay, if we don't increment the value of the iterator, the condition will be infinitely true. And when it is infinitely true, we will go into something that is called as an infinite loop. So we have to see that all three things are maintained in our loop. Okay, initialization, condition, and incrementation. Okay, so let's look at an example where we miss the incrementation part. Okay, so in this case, we are writing initialization, we are writing condition, but we are not writing incrementation. So what happens here is my voice not clear to everyone? I'm just reading the chat messages. Can you just post? Can someone say if the voice is okay or not? Okay. So since it is clear to some of you guys, I am guessing the people who are commenting it is not clear. Your internet connection is a bit unstable. Okay. Let me continue with the class then. I think this is the maximum volume. See, for many people it is clear. Let me go ahead. Okay. Great. So here I'm writing the statement count is equal to 0, which is the initialization. We are writing while count is less than 5, which is the condition. Now, based on this, we are checking. So count, as long as 0 is less than 5, we will keep on saying that the condition is true. As condition is true, we write print 0 is less than 5. So this gets printed. But you see, we are not changing the value of the count. The value of count is not incrementing, not decrementing. So this condition remains infinitely true. And once it's infinitely true, you will enter into something that's called an infinite loop. The thing is, how do you get out of an infinite loop? So especially when you're running your code on a Jupyter notebook, on the top part of the Jupyter notebook, you will see this screen. Okay. Within this screen, there are buttons like run button, stop button, restart button. So first you should try the stop button. The stop button will stop the loop. If it does not stop the loop, you can press on the restart button. This restart button will give you this dialog box. And hello? Yeah, can you hear me?
Sir, are you there?
Yes, I am there. My internet
Yes,
got
sir.
disconnected. Yes, my power went off. My internet got disconnected. So I was waiting in the lobby for some
Okay,
time
sir.
now. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes. Let me share my
yes,
screen.
sir.
Yes, let me share my screen.
Okay,
One
sir.
second. Okay, I hope my screen is visible again. Let me continue. Okay, great. So I was talking about infinite loop and how we can get rid of an infinite loop. And the way we can do that is click on the stop, click on restart again, and then our the kernel will restart. Thereby, the infinite loop problem that we had started will get set. Okay. Going ahead, there is a different kind of loop called as the for loop. Okay, and the for loop also is a loop like the while loop, and here it works this way. For iterating variable in sequence, so long as so long as the sequence exists, we will go step by step through one of the elements of the sequence, and then for each of those values of iterating variable, we will implement the statements part here. Okay, so let me look at an example that will look at an example that will make sense of what is happening. Okay, so here we are writing a program saying for letter in Python, print current letter. Okay, very simple program. For letter in Python, print current letter as letter. In this case, you see Python is a string here, and for Python, this string is actually a sequence of characters. So in this case, it's a sequence of characters: P, capital P, small y, small t, small h, small o, small n. Letter is our variable that is called the iterating variable that will take different values. Okay, so we say for letter in Python, print current letter. So letter first takes the first value P. When it takes the first value P, we go inside this loop. It says current letter P. We go to the next value Y. It says current letter Y. We go to the next value T, current letter T, and so on. So in this way, we go through each part of the loop, each part of the string. Once we reach the letter N, it says current letter N. And then since the sequence gets over, since there are no more elements left in the sequence, we come outside of the for loop. Okay. So very interesting, right? Here you see all the three conditions: initialization, condition, and incrementation is managed using the using the sequence itself. The sequence says when to start, so we start with the first value, that is the initialization. It says when to stop, that is the stop value, that is condition, and each independent values here take the value of incrementing the part. Okay, so incrementing the part, by that I mean it will take one sequence at a time. Okay, so all the three conditions of our loops are managed within this one statement of for letter in Python. Before going ahead, we will look at one more function within Python, which we can use to to create automatically sequences. The name is this range. Okay, the name of the function is range. Now the function range can take different inputs. So if I just put one input, it is called as the stop criteria. Okay, if I put two inputs, it is start and stop. And if I put three inputs, then it is start, stop, and step. Okay, let me give you examples that will make this clear. So let's say in the first case here, I'm looking at range 1, 5, 1. Okay, so the first value is start, the second value is stop, and the third value is step. So here it says we start from 1 and we take steps of 1. So, okay, we start from 1 and we take steps of 1. So we go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Actually, we go till 4. Okay, so it starts from 1. We take steps of 1 and we go till 1 less than this number. So this number here 5. Since the last number is 5, we will go 1 less. So 1 less the number 5 is the number 4. So this sequence, that is this input range 1, 5, 1, translates to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Let me write the second part. For the second part, when we say range 3, 10, and 2, okay, range 3, 10, and 2, it means we are starting from 3. We are ending at 10 minus 1, which is 9, and we are taking steps of 2. So our expansion looks like this. 3, take 2 steps, that is go from 3 to 5, take 2 steps, go to 7, take 2 steps, go to 9, and we stop here. Oh, excellent. Someone already commented in the chat group. Excellent. That's the right answer. Okay. Let's go ahead. In the third example, when I'm writing range 3, 10, in this case, we start at 3, we stop at 10 minus 1, that is 9. And since the third value step is not given, the default value of step is 1. Okay, the default value of step is 1. Can someone write the answer in the chat group? What will be the values that will be printing here? Okay, you're writing 3 to 9. That's fine. Let me write it in detail. It will become 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it will take all of these values. Okay, it will take all of these values. Excellent. And finally, we reach to the fourth example where we start at 10, we stop at 1, and we take steps of minus 1. Okay, so it goes from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and we stop at 2 because we will stop one less from the stop criteria. Okay, so this function range will help us to give the sequence that we can use for our for loop. Okay, so let's take this example. We are saying for I in range 5. So when we say range 5, we're just putting one input. Okay, one input means we're just talking about the stop criteria. So by default, the start criteria is always 0. Okay, so when the start criteria is not given, only stop is given, the default is 0. So this range value can take values 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, one less than the value 5. And because of which it says for I in this sequence. Okay, for I in this sequence, we will run this for loop. So for the first statement, we go for value 0. It says current index is 0. We go for value 1, current index is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. At 4 is where we stop. Okay, so this is a simple example of a for loop, and I believe out of the two, so saying, sir, what if range is 100? If range is 100, your values will go from 0 till 100. Okay, so it will start with 0, 1, 2, it will go till 99. Okay, it will go till 99. So one less than the stop criteria. Okay, let me go ahead. We can also have something we call as nested loops. So nested loops are, we write one loop and within that loop we have another loop, and for both these statements we will continue our execution. Okay, so nested loops, within one outer loop we have internal loops. So this is an example of for nested loops. This is an example of while nested loops. That is, within a while loop we have internal while statements. Okay, so let me show you an example of this. So here we have two nested loops. One is for the variable, let me zoom this also. We have two nested loops. One for the variable I, which takes a range of 3. Other for the variable j, which takes a range of 3. So range of 3 means it will take 3 values, 0, 1, and 2. Similarly, range of 3 here will take 3 values, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. So I will take the values 0, 1, 2. J will take the values 0, 1, 2. And inside we write a print statement, print I comma j is I comma j. So we are using both the values of I and j. So in this case, what will happen is, first for I, it will take the value of 0. So I will take a value of 0. And for that value of I as 0, j will take 3 values of 0, 1, and 2. So you get printed 0, I0, J0. Let me write here I and j. We'll print here I0, J0, I0, J1, I0, J2, and so on. After we finish that loop, we go outside, we say go to the next iterating variable, which is the value of 1. And with 1, we'll say 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Next, we go to the value of 2 for I, and then j will again take 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. So you can imagine that in fact, we are doing something like this. We are writing 3 programs in which the first program starts with I is equal to 0, and we run a loop of j for range 3, which goes to 0, 1, and 2. Then we write a program with I is equal to 1, and we go with j in the range 3, that goes to 0, 1, and 2. And finally, I with the value 2, and j takes 0, 1, and 2. I hope this is clear. We're talking about nested loops, where in an outer loop, we have an internal loop, and we can loop through these items. So since we have finished loops, let me also focus on 3 keywords that we'll be looking at. Okay, we'll be looking at 3 keywords: the break keyword, the continue keyword, and the pass keyword. Okay. These three keywords can help us to control how our loop is executing. Okay. So in the first case, let's say we are writing a Python program. You go to statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, so on. You reach the conditional code. Okay. You execute the conditional code. You go back here. You write the condition statement. So long as this condition is true, you will keep on executing this code. Okay. Now, while the condition is true, if at some point you write the break statement, then that break statement will exit from this loop even before the condition becomes false. Okay, so even before the condition becomes false, you can exit from this loop and come outside of the if loop. So let me show you an example for that. Here in this case, we have a for loop. We have a for loop that iterates through the characters of Python, P, Y, T, H, O, N. And we have a condition inside. Okay, the condition is if letter is equal to H, we break. If letter is equal to H, we break. Okay, so here the value of letter will take values P. In the first case, it takes value of P. We come inside the loop. We see if letter is equal to H. So no, letter is P. Letter is not equal to H. So this condition is not true. You go to the next statement, which says print current letter is letter, which gives us this code. Current letter is P. Okay. Then we go to the next variable, next value, which is Y. When we go to Y, we check for this condition. This condition is false. We go and print current letter is Y. We go to the next value T. This is not equal to T. So we print current letter is T. Finally, we reach to this character H. Now letter will take the variable value of H. We come to this condition, letter is equal to H. So this condition is true. Since this condition is true, we enter inside the if loop. We reach the break statement. And what the break statement does, it will exit this for loop. Since it exits this for loop, you come outside of the loop. And outside of the loop, you print out of loop. That is why you get printed here. Okay. So the break statement allows us to break a loop even before the sequence is over. So the sequence had three more elements, right? H, O, and N. At the value of H itself, we exited the loop. Okay. So that is what a break statement does. Let me show you another example of break statement. So in this case, we have a break statement within a while loop. Okay, so our variable has the value 10, and we're checking for the condition while variable is greater than 0. So long as this condition is true, we will keep on executing this loop. Okay, so variable is 10. We say 10 is greater than 0. This condition is true. Let us go inside. 10 is not equal to 5. This condition is not true. We print the next statement, that is print variable value is var, which is 10. You come down and we write variable is equal to variable minus 1. So the new value of variable is the old value of variable minus 1. So variable value is 10. We say 10 minus 1 is 9. So now variable will take the value of 9. You go to the condition again. 9 is greater than 0. So this condition is true. This condition is false. We print the value of 9. It gets updated to 8. This condition is true. 8 is greater than 0. This condition is false. We print the value of 8, so on. So this keeps on happening till we reach 6. Okay. Let's imagine we have reached 6. We say current variable value is 6. We decrement the value, that is, it becomes 6 minus 1, that is 5. So this variable has the value 5. You go to the condition. This condition is true. You come to this condition. This condition is also true. Now variable has the value 5. Since this condition is true, you enter inside the break statement. And the break statement will exit this while loop. Since you exit this while loop, you come directly outside of the loop and you print out of loop. That is what you print here. So we saw the use of a break statement. The break statement helps us to exit from a loop, whether it be a for loop or whether it be a while loop. The help statement can help us to exit from this loop. Okay. Let's go ahead. We'll look at the continue statement. Okay. So what the continue statement does is basically when you encounter the continue statement, it will take you back to the condition of the loop so that you will not be executing things that are below the continue statement. Okay. So let me show you an example that will make this idea clear. Okay. So look at this case. We are writing the same program as before for the for loop, but instead of a break statement, we have the continue statement. Okay. Instead of the break statement, we have the continue statement. So what does this mean? So letter will take different values P, Y, T. As it takes P, Y, T, we will see that this condition, we'll see that these conditions are not true for P, Y, T. Since this condition is not true, we will print current letter is P by 2. So we get current letter is P by T. So let's say we have reached this point. Now, when we go back to the condition, we go back to the sequence, it will increment to the next value, which is H. Okay. Once it reaches the value of H, we will see this letter is true. Okay, letter is equal to H. Our condition is true. Because our condition is true, we will go inside and we reach the continue statement. What happens with the continue statement is, normally after this, I would have gone down. The continue statement will not allow us to go down. It will directly take us back to the next letter. Okay. So since we don't go to this statement, we never print the line current letter is H. Okay, so we don't print that line. We directly go to the next letter, which is O. This condition is again now false, and we print the current letter is O. So this gets printed here, current letter O. We go to the next letter, which is N. We say the current letter is N, that gets printed, and then we come outside of the loop. Okay, so a simple execution of for loop with the continue statement in between. Okay. Let me also show you an example of the same idea with a while loop. Okay, so same idea with a while loop. In this case, it's the same program as before. We have shifted something. We have taken the variable is equal to variable minus 1 from down till on top. Okay, so we say variable is equal to 10. While variable is greater than 0, we will keep on we will keep on running these conditions. Okay, so in the first case, we say variable is value is 10. 10 is greater than 0, so this condition is true. We will decrement the value, that is variable is equal to variable minus 1, that is 10 minus 1, which is the 10 minus 1, which is the value 9. So this value of 9 goes into the variable. We see 9 is equal to 5. So this is false, right? 9 is not equal to 5. So we don't go inside this loop. Since we don't go inside this loop, we go to the next statement, that is print current variable value is where? That is 9. So we get printed here. We go back to the condition. 9 is greater than 0. So this condition is true. The value of variable becomes 8. This condition is false. We print the value 8 and so on. So this happens till we reach the value 6. This happens when we reach till the value we reach 6. As we reach the value of 6, we write the statement 6 is greater than 0. So this condition is true. 6 minus 1 becomes 5. Okay. And now variable is equal to 5. So this condition is also true. Since this condition is true, you go to the continue block, and the continue block does not allow you to go down. Okay. It takes you directly back to the condition. So you go directly back to the condition. You say 5 is greater than 0. This condition is true. We reduce the value of this to 4. Now this condition is not true. So you print the value of 4. Hence you see from 6, we directly jump to the value of 4. We have skipped the value of 5 in between. We print 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. At 0, after 0, this condition fails. That is when you take to minus 1. Even at 0, 0 is greater than 0, the condition is false. And since the condition is false, we'll directly skip outside and we go outside the loop. Okay. Someone asked the question, we did not get 0, right? No, we will. Let me see here. Okay, so just imagine we are at 1. At 1, this condition will become true. Now we write 1 minus 1, which is equal to 0. So the value of variable is 0. This condition is false. You will print this statement. So current var value is var, right? So we will print the 0 statement. Only after printing the 0 statement, you will go back to the condition which says 0 is greater than 0. So this condition becomes false, and then you come outside of the loop. So we will get to print the value 0. Okay. Let us go ahead. Then we look at the next statement, which is the pass statement. So we have already seen break, we have seen continue. Now we look at the pass statement. Okay. So what the pass statement does is simply nothing. Okay. The pass statement simply passes the block. Let me show you an example. In this case, we write letter in Python. So same as before, it will take individual values. We write for letter is equal to H, it will enter inside this loop. So while we write P, Y, T, nothing important, everything gets executed as earlier. Current letter is capital P, current letter is Y, current letter is T. When we reach H, we come to this point, and this is true, the condition is true. We go to the statement pass. So this simply passes, it goes to the next statement. That is, this is the pass block. So you print, this is the pass block. You come outside, you say current letter is letter. So current letter is H, and we keep on continuing ahead. Okay, current letter is O, current letter is N, out of loop. So as we see here, uh, the statement pass does not seem to do anything. Okay, does not seem to do anything. Can anyone guess what is the purpose of this pass statement then? You can put it in the chat. What do you think is the purpose of this pass statement? If it is not doing anything, it is not breaking, it is not continuing, it is just taking it to the next line. Excellent. So someone has written for our code is not complete feature coding. So exactly, this is what the reason is. So pass it stays like a placeholder. Okay, it stays like a placeholder. So when you're writing a function, and let's say you don't have clarity of what that function should contain, you just write pass inside. So let's say I want to implement factorial, and I'm writing a function like define factorial, and I presently don't know what code I will write. So I can write the pass statement inside, and then I can move on to writing other parts of the program. Okay, the pass statement acts as a placeholder for future coding. Okay, good answers. Let me go ahead. Okay, within Python, there is an interesting concept where we use else statement with loops. Okay, so normally other languages don't have that, but Python has something like an else statement with loops. So what is the purpose? Let us look at some examples of it. Okay, so in this case, we have a for loop for I in range 5. So let's revise again. Range 5 will take what values? Can you post in the chat? What values will range 5 take? Excellent. So Ragwa is right. It will take the values 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will not go to the value 5 because as we saw earlier, Python stops at one value less than the stop value. Okay. So we print I. So here for I in range 5, which will take all of these different values, print I is less than 5. So we print 0 is less than 5, 1 is less than 5, 2, and 4 is less than 5. Once we reach 4 is less than 5, we come to the next criteria, which basically says print else of for loop. So after we have executed everything within the for loop, we come to the else statement, which prints else of for loop. After we write the else statement, we come outside of the loop. So the else loop is executed at the end of the for loop. Okay. So if all the statements of the for loop is executed, only after that we write the end statement, which is else of the for loop, and then we go out of the loop. Okay. So this is what happens normally when the loop is allowed to continue till the end. Okay. Let's look for a case where we are breaking the loop in between. Okay. So in this case also we are writing the same program, but we are writing an additional condition here. The condition is if I is equal to 4, we break. And what happens is when you break of the for loop, you also break of the else loop as well. Okay, the else condition of the for loop is also broken. So here we write 0 is less than 5, 1 is less than 5, 2, 3, 4 is less than 5. And after 4 is less than 5, we break the loop. When we break the loop, this else loop does not get executed and we directly go out of loop. Okay, so this is the purpose of the else part of within loops, that it helps us to see if the loop is executed fully or not. If the loop is executed fully, the else part will execute. But if there was a break in between, then the else part will not be executed. You will directly go out of the loop. Okay, we can also use else with while loops. So this is an example of that. We write here, we write the condition count is equal to 0 while count is less than 5. Print count is less than 5. Increment the value of count, go to the else block, and so on. Okay, so here count will take values 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so someone has written this, the question, sir, else is out of the for loop, then why it is not executing? Actually, this else is not out of the for loop. This else is part of the for loop. Okay, so we are writing, so this is an extra condition within Python where your else statement with loops can be used. So just like we have if statement, and if statement can have an else statement or not. Similarly, we have a for statement which can have an else statement or not. So this else statement is actually part of the for loop. Okay, so when you break from the for loop, you also break from the else loop. I hope this helps. So this is how Python has defined the else loop for when you're executing it with loops. Let's look at a different example with while loops. How do we use else? Okay. So example is here. We start with count is equal to 0. While count is less than 5, we keep on printing this and we keep on incrementing this. So 0 is less than 5, 1 is less than 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we reach 4 is less than 5. When we reach 4 is less than 5, the value of count increments, we get 4 plus 1, which is equal to 5. We go back to this condition. This condition is now not true. Since this condition is now not true, you enter inside the else loop. Inside the else loop, you write the statement print count is not less than 5. That is why you print this statement and then you out of the loop. So here, no breaks are involved. Since no breaks are involved, the while loop gets executed and then the else loop also gets executed. In the next example, we see there is a break here at count is equal to 4. Okay, so when the break will exit from the while loop, it will also exit from the else loop. An example is here. Count has a value 0. 0 is less than 5. Condition is true. You print 0 is less than 5. Increment the value of count. It becomes 1. So you say 1 is less than 5. This condition is not true. So this condition will not be true till we reach 3. So let us go to 1 is less than 5. 2 is less than 5. 3 is less than 5. At this point, we reach here 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 gives us the value 4. At the value 4, this condition is true. 4 is equal to 4. This condition is true. You go to the break statement. The break statement will exit the while loop. It will exit the else loop and you will directly go print out of loop. That is what you get here. Okay. Okay, so someone has asked the question, can we use else while within if else? Can you show one example? Okay, so yes, you can use else, you can use while or else within the if loop. So you can have a statement like this. We have if some condition. So let me put if count is equal to 3. And within that, I can have a while loop. While count is maybe less than 4. And I can have some statements. I can have else loop for here. I can have some statements. I can go outside this else loop, come back to your normal count, have some statements, and then exit. Okay. So all such combinations are possible. We just have to go through the material and we have to see which condition is true. Okay. The thing to remember with the else loop is this else loop will execute if the while loop goes to the last condition. So long as the while loop is there in the last, till this condition is true, the while loop will get executed. Once this condition becomes false, the else loop will get executed and then you'll go back down. Okay, but if you have a break statement in between, that is you have a break statement in the while loop will get exited, the else loop will also get exited. Okay, so you can have different combinations of things working around and it will still work out. Okay, I hope this helps you. Okay, so this is the last part of this session, that is operators and control structures. The next part, in the next class, we will look at data types in Python. So maybe there's only other 4 minutes to go. I will explain what we will do in the next class and then we'll take it from there. Okay. So in the next class, we will look at different data types of Python. So we'll look at booleans, numbers, strings, lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. So booleans and numbers are primary data types. Booleans, numbers, strings are primary data types. And we have secondary data types like lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. So all of these are really interesting material. The different data types of Python helps us to do a lot of things with data. So our purpose is basically to go for data analysis. Okay. The only reason we are doing Python here is because it helps us as a tool to see how data science will work now. So how many days we learn Python? So I'll just give you the material here or the syllabus. I think the syllabus should have been shared with you. We are going for operators and control structures, which we did now. Control structures. Then we are going for data types. Then we are going for functions. And then we are going for modules. Okay. So this covers our basic Python class. After this, we follow something called as Python packages for data science. Okay. Within the Python packages for data science, we will look at NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. Okay, Seaborn. So you can consider that each of these sessions will take one class. Okay, maybe NumPy may take 2 classes, Pandas may take 2 classes, Seaborn and Matplotlib together will take 1 class. Okay, so we are at least 5, maybe another 7 or 8 days we'll continue with Python, and after the next 7 or 8 days we will enter deep into data analytics. Okay, so the reason we are doing this Python is when we go to data analytics, we will be using many of these ideas here. Okay. What about Keras and TensorFlow? We will not be looking at Keras and TensorFlow directly within the Python here. Once we finish our machine learning for shallow, we will go into one example of neural networks and deep learning. Within that, we'll talk about Keras. We'll not talk about TensorFlow. Okay. I think I've shared the syllabus. You can check it out with the host, what the syllabus is. Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow. I have to stop sharing. Okay. Nisha, is this fine? Can we exit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
ప్రీవియస్ క్లాసెస్కి మీరు లాగిన్ అవ్వండి www.elanoke.comకి. సో ఏమైనా ఇష్యూస్ ఉంటే మీరు చాట్ చేయండి, లేదా నేను సెషన్ క్లోజ్ చేసేస్తాను. సార్ ఆర్ యూ దేర్?
I'm just exiting. Okay.
Sir, some students asking about installation process.
Don't you have the recording for yesterday?
Yes, sir, recorded.
So I have explained the installation process. Now, do you still want further help in installation?
Yes, sir. That candidate's asking about the installation process.
Okay.
Can you explain once?
Sure. Maybe in the next class, I'll try to show installation once more. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. I have my office meeting right now, so I have to run
okay,
there. Okay. Okay then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
మీకు మెటీరియల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా సేమ్ వెబ్సైట్లో ప్రొవైడ్ చేసి ఉంటారండి. ఒకసారి రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వండి. దాంట్లో లాగిన్ ఐడి ఏముండదు, మీరు రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వాలి అంతే. ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఉంటాయండి. యాక్చువల్లీ 10:30 దాకానే చెప్పింది అయితే, కాకపోతే సార్కి మీటింగ్స్ ఉండటం వల్ల క్లోజ్ చేస్తున్నాము అంతే. సో మీకైతే సిలబస్లో ఎటువంటి ప్రాబ్లం రాకుండా మేము చూసుకుంటాము. జస్ట్ గో త్రూ దట్ వెబ్సైట్ లింక్.